All right, welcome to Leafs Talk. JD Bunkis, JT Bourne. Nice to have you, brother. Can you believe it's January and this is the first time that you and I are doing a Leafs Talk?
That is honestly shocking. So no, I
Truly.
cannot. But I'm
Yeah,
happy to see you.
yeah, it's great to see you. It's just a weird scheduling dynamic that's happened with the two of us that has caused it this way. So let me start you with the big question of the night. All right, you're here.
Yeah.
Who's the first star? Is it Austin Matthews or the Leafs video coach who you informed me was, what is it, Jordan Bean before the broadcast?
Jordan Bean and
Jordan
Sam
Bean.
Kim, I believe. Yeah. I mean, hey, how good are these guys? What are they, 18 for 19 on the year? What's that worth to a team? $1 million?
Like, I don't know, but whatever he makes, I think it should be more than Sheldon Keefe. If you told me what's the wins above replacement of Sheldon Keefe this year versus the wins above replacement of the video review team, it's like that's not even a question. That's not even a debate.
I love this. If I'm the video coach, I'm going to arbitration and saying, what do you think my value is? Look at the league average success rate. I'm through the roof.
They have the best guy. They have the best guy. Like, we didn't realize that the Leafs have the Wayne Gretzky of the video room.
You can skirt the salary cap by having the best video guys. Also, ridiculous that this is a no goal. Like, come on.
Okay. So I'm glad you said this because tonight was a weird spirit of the rule night for me.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of video review. I'm sorry, Jordy Bean. I think that by creating more of it, we haven't done ourselves any favors. Like, sports are not better because of the immense amount of video review, in my opinion. If that's not yours, that's totally fine. I just think that it slows down the game. I'm in the Connor McDavid camp of, if you've got to look at this sucker for 15 minutes, then it's probably not consequential. We should probably not rule it this way. Right. I'm glad the Leafs were able to get a win tonight because, God, I did not want to do the meltdown show with you. Like, I just needed a change of pace, brother. Yeah. So thank you, Jordy, for getting this thing done. But the idea that was, okay, I can read it to you because I saw the league. They posted exactly what it is, right? They said that, quote, the video review determined that Blake Coleman directed the puck to Jordan Osterley with a hand pass at 11:30 of the blah, 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 blah decision to Rule 79. I don't think that's a deflection. He sticks out his hand because I think it's a little instinctual. Yeah. It grazes it. And then to me, it's like both sticks are kind of touching the puck. I would have, like, again, Jordy Ben knows the rule, or Jordy Ben.
He's just merging eventually. He's just going to be like, Jamiroquai is doing a great job.
He knows the rules better than any human being on planet Earth. He's got the most sharp eye for hockey ever. Like, again, there's no way another human being on Earth saw that play and said, wow, they should review that, right?
No, it just like dusted the fabric. Like, if they had been leather gloves, it wouldn't have touched the threads hanging off of it. But hey, you know, when you're down, like the Leafs have been down, and you're anything you could do to scratch and claw, you take it. Sometimes it goes against you. They got one to go for them tonight.
I totally agree. I just think that if it takes the Wayne Gretzky of the video room to identify the play and no one else on the planet thinks it's a thing, then it probably shouldn't be a thing.
Beaner.
Yeah. He's got to get a race. Like, he has to go into an office tomorrow.
Conversation. Let's go.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Is remember when Kawhi had the doctor that was keeping him healthy?
Yeah.
And I think the Raptors still have him. Alex, I can't remember. This is now becoming that kind of lore where you go, you can't leave Toronto because they've got this doctor. You can't leave Toronto because they've got this video review coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Leafs start tonight just horrifically. Yeah. Like, it is one of, I would say, the most lackluster periods that they've had all season, especially considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
And then to end the period, Austin Matthews scores the first of his 3 goals. Where do you put that among just the most important goals of the season so far?
Yeah, great question. You know, it really was one of those moments, and I'm sure you saw some tweets like this online where it's like, the coach's back is up against the wall. You know, you'll see what you get for a pushback. And then, like, TJ Brody coughs one up right away, and there's shots immediately, and they just get outplayed heavily. And you go, uh-oh. But yeah, you get to the end of the period. Matthews goes through his legs again on another play right before he scores and just buries it. An absolutely unbelievable finish. And things turn around. They go to the dressing room. They have a conversation. And I thought the second period was one of their best of the season. So I'm not going to look at the first period and say it's a reflection of anything great other than anything major, other than they played terribly, kind of found it. And boy, Austin Matthews did the thing you needed him to do with the team struggling like they have. And he kind of put the team on his back tonight.
I can't say that I feel fully confident that the Leafs show up in the second period the way they did if Matthews doesn't score that goal.
Yeah, you think that's a turning point?
I really do. I really think that materially changes things. You're going down, and you're without that goal, I think that they would have been booed in Calgary's rink by the Leaf fans that were in attendance.
Well, yeah, what good happened in the first period otherwise?
Nothing. It was like, again, I don't want to get too bogged down in this, but I do think that it's like a major storyline in this game. The Leafs, the energy that they showed up with, the rest of the team outside of Matthews and Marner, who played well, I thought, in the first, like, at least they had moments. I don't think anybody else had even a glimmer, a shift, a play.
Yeah.
It was just horrific breakouts, icing after icing, and then they end up getting outshot by a Calgary team. I think it was 9-4 in the first. Like, they got 4 shots. One of them went in Calgary's net because of Austin Matthews. It was dreadful. Like, we asked Jobo to put together this pack from the first period of just some of the breakouts. They couldn't get anything going. You know what it felt like to me, Bourne? Just with because it wasn't even just that. It was the way they were letting Calgary gain the zone and just play with the puck in their own end. It felt as though the Leafs had never played together before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Sheldon recently had that quote about, like, I'm not sure who I can trust, like, in the biggest moments or whatever. And you just were kind of looking up and down the bench going, who do you trust right now? Like, Tyler Bertuzzi hasn't felt trustworthy, and obviously Domi and somebody Gregor not having his best night tonight. And you just kind of go through the lineup and it's like, who do you want to go over the boards? They ended up, I thought, being okay, but the Tavares Nylander duo was dreadful at times tonight, just dreadful. So yeah, I get what you're saying here. Breaking the puck out of the zone was really ugly for a huge portion of the game. And it did feel like, it took that Matthews goal for them to find it a little bit and go play on the other end of the ice. You sit here at the end of the day, they carried the play against Calgary. They had, I think, Sportlogic has high danger shots at 69 for them. But without that Matthews goal, you're probably right. It's probably a different story.
Yeah, and that's, you saying he put the team on his back. That's completely it. This is a, when I've never fully understood war in sports, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not smart enough to understand the actual algorithm of it, like the formula that is put together.
There's no good.
But I will just say this is one war for Austin Matthews.
He gets the win. This
was a win for a call-up. Like, he did it. This was him tonight. He's the best player on the planet. You know what it reminded me of? I love my cross-sport comparisons. They always piss off everybody in the chat. This was Josh Allen-like. This was, oh, wait, all of our defensive players are hurt. I don't care. Stephon Diggs isn't really going, and guys are dropping passes. I don't care. I'll run the ball. I'll throw the ball.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that everything happens. This was just a complete domination from him.
Yeah.
And I will say Marner, I thought, was really good tonight as well. Like, he deserves some big credit. Although anybody with the puck line tonight, my God, pray for them, because if you
Marner missing the empties.
Oh my God, I thought it was shaving points, but other than that, he was terrific.
I got to be honest, man. After seeing him put up 4 points against San Jose, then be bad 3 straight nights against good teams, I didn't want to see him throw in a freebie tonight.
Yeah, I think that's
got
fair.
The win. It's the Matthews thing, though. It's more than the goals, right? Like, it's and thinking of the play where he picks, is it Lindholm's pocket and sets up Marner in front? Reminded me of picking McDavid's pocket the night before. So good, taking pucks away, lifting sticks, keeping pucks in, just getting the play in the right half of the ice. And Sheldon down the stretch played it like Game 7 of a playoff series. It was him, Marner, and Kelly Arncroc who went out over and over again in that third period.
Well, I got to tell you, man, one of the takeaways from tonight's game for me was awesome. You got this win, but what has been the biggest fear with the Toronto Maple Leafs over these last couple of years? Is it a one-line team?
Yeah.
And for a group that brought in secondary scorers like Bertuzzi and Domi and just paid Nylander all the money on planet Earth, and John Tavares also makes $11 million, they sure felt like a one-line team again tonight.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they were a one-line team tonight. I thought that after there was a moment there where I think it was when we thought it was 4-4. After that, I thought Tavares and Nylander had some good shifts, good effort. They actually showed a replay of Tavares like battling pretty good in the D zone and like focusing on that. But you and I were sending some texts after a period or two, 88 prior to that. I mean, he's just not looking like the guy he looked like earlier in the season with all that pop and taking it to the net and the desperation. I'm not going to tie it to the contract. I'm aware of the coincidence of the turning point, but he hasn't been good for 5 games.
He hasn't scored since the contract. He hasn't scored since the San Jose cookie night. Just should be noted that is a thing that has happened.
Not saying, just saying.
I think that had we wanted to be a little bit more critical tonight, that we could have asked Joe to clip some fairly lazy plays from William Nylander tonight.
Yes.
And to the Tavares battling point, okay, that was nice that he was. I noticed it too. But it also only happened. This is like the guy leads the league in block shots. I'm like, doesn't that mean the puck's in his end a lot? It doesn't that. He was battling, but it's because his line was hemmed in. And if not for that goal, or sorry, that hand pass taking away the goal, I do think that one of the stories would have been, man, them in the third period up until then, it was that. Like, it was this.
Yeah.
That they were getting absolutely
lost battle on the wall here, ends up in their hands again. Like, it's, almost had the puck and couldn't win the battles.
To say the same thing over, this line, when they put Bertuzzi, Nylander, and Tavares together, they just really have moments in the D zone where they do not look like they've played together. And I'm guessing that they have played together very well. I don't have to guess. They played a lot of minutes together to look this way, which is very, very surprising, the lack of chemistry amongst this group.
I think it would be interesting, it's going to be interesting to hear Sheldon to see if there's more of like, they had a Marner breakaway, they had a Domi breakaway, they had chances in the third that it didn't have to be this close. They still haven't been able to get that separation he wanted, but at least, regulation win, 14th on the season now for the Leafs. You go into Vancouver, at least it would be a totally different build up to Saturday night had they lost this hockey game tonight. So
huge. It's massive, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody in there should be thanking Matthews. Yeah. Everybody in there, the coach, the staff, it should be Jordy Bean. He comes down, they thank him, and they thank Matthews. And it's just a group celebration of this player because, buddy, without him, they absolutely lose that game tonight.
What'd you think of Jones?
I thought Jones was okay for stretches, but obviously he's letting in more stinkers now. Like, the Martin Jones that we expected to be Martin Jones is starting to be a little bit more Martin Jonesy, I would say.
Anytime you play your third goalie a lot, I think it's reasonable to say we are accepting 1 goal per game as a tax for having our third goalie in is going to be not awesome. And I think that's kind of where you're at. You get away with one tonight with the disallowed goal against Edmonton as well. But yeah, you're paying a 1 goal per game tax right now.
They are. And what was his save percentage going in before, like, the last couple of games? It was something like
932 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was never going to be that way. And I like Martin Jones. I think that he's solid. I think he's quiet in the net, big, all these different things, clear, good vet. But yeah, you couldn't anticipate that this was going to remain the same way. But I just, it's awesome that Matthews put the cape on tonight. He really takes a lot of the pressure off. I'm glad that we get to celebrate him. Again, do you know who the other players in the NHL are that have 4 hat tricks in the season right now? The active players?
Is it Pasternak maybe?
Correct. 1. I'll tell you, there's 4. This is kind of a trick question, but there's 4 guys other than Matthews that are currently playing that have 4 hat tricks in the season right now.
McKinnon, McDavid.
Nope. No, it's Pasternak. You got 1. The other one, come on, you got to get at least 1.
My brain isn't working right now. Who shoots it in the net a lot? I don't know. Is it Banajad?
No, Ovechkin has.
Ovechkin? Oh, you mean not this season?
No, not this season. Sorry, in their career, there are only 4 active players that have 4 hat tricks in 1 calendar year.
The Sid?
Nope. Tage Thompson is the other.
Really?
Yes, and then the other one is Austin Matthews again. This is the second time that he's done it in his career. It's incredible. But yeah, they're carrying too much of the weight. The Leafs now have over 80% of their offense coming from their top guys, Yarncroc and Riley. Like, that's 80% of their goals this year now after tonight. It's just like all the scoring is coming from one place. eventually somebody else is going to have to step up and take some of this pressure off of Matthews, because like, I just think your formula of Matthews scoring hat trick to win is not sustainable. It's not going to keep happening night in, night out, man.
No, yeah, I'm thinking back to the playoffs against Tampa Bay and Florida, and getting a goal here and there from Lafferty pitches one in and Kerfoot tips one in here and there, but like they just didn't find enough other goals, and not to say that tonight is a reason to say to assess the whole state of the Leafs, but it does feel like that's going to be something that needs to be addressed here. The problem is Bertuzzi doesn't seem to be that. Like, I don't know what's happened here, but like there's a moment tonight where he's got the puck 6 feet from the top of the crease. He's trying to slide one back door to whoever it was, fine. But like, can you not play like Marner? Can you be just a guy who takes it to the net hard and finishes and shoots? And Bertuzzi is struggling for an identity on this team. What would you say it is? It's not grit or whatever he was brought here for. It's not offense. What is his role right now?
Right now, I think that his strongest attribute is playmaking. Like, that's what he continuously tries to do. And it's like, that's not who you are. McKee and I talked about this the other night, where he went, yeah, but he's not as good of a passer as Domi is. And I went, correct. It's just for $5.5 million, he's been a complete no-show. I thought when he came in, he was going to be like the most popular player, right? Just everyone was going to love this guy. Remember his first game? He gets in a scrum. He's around the net the entire night. And it feels like his game this year has been far more finesse. To me, I think that if you're making the fire the coach argument, and I said this on my podcast, that the strongest case is that you probably want to find more from some of the other guys that Tree Living brought in here. Like, it's another night where Max Domi only played 10 minutes. And his only moment of note was when he gets a wide open opportunity in front of the net and doesn't bury it. Yeah. And then Bertuzzi, who he plays more, Keefe cussed out, as the broadcast brought up, yelled at him to get off the ice at one point, and had another game that was largely forgettable and really not full of any kind of moments of impact. Again, dude, this really was an Austin Matthews night. Even like to your point about how they turned it on in the second period, it was like, look who carried them in the second period. Look who had the legs and let his team find themselves. It was Austin freaking Matthews and Mitch Marner. Those two guys did the damn thing. And the other guys kind of fell in line, but not in an impactful way, more of an, we're not going to screw us over kind of way was what it was more like.
Hey, I just looked up Bertuzzi's hits per game and where he is on the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's 15th in hits per game.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
Be higher.
The grit you brought in is a breath ahead of Nick Robertson, Not
He's got
quite.
more ugly pieces to his equipment than he has hits this year. It's not a great stat.
Yeah. So, I haven't had the chance to talk much Leafs with you.
Yeah.
Where have you been on the team right now? The big topics are Keefe, and then buy or sell for the Leafs. We had this sell conversation today for the Leafs and what it would look like if they said, we don't think we're good enough. I think they are good enough, and I don't think they should sell. But where are you on the status of the Leafs?
I think that you are, this West Coast trip, I akined it to Charlie Montoya, and when he went out west with the Toronto Blue Jays a couple of years ago, and then he didn't come back. It's like Sheldon Keefe needs wins from his team against these tough opponents, and that's why tonight was massive. Is I just think that you lose this one, that puck goes in. The alternate reality where we're not saying that's a hand pass. Like there's two time, sliding door moments for me in this game. One was the Matthews goal, as we referenced, the first one of the game. The second is the hand pass. And if neither of those things happen, then you and I are on here purely discussing that there's nothing else to talk about other than the coach's standing. Like, remember when they beat Pittsburgh, when they embarrassed Pittsburgh, though it felt like these are two ships in completely different. Pittsburgh, I saw today in the standings, is 2 points back of the Leafs before tonight's result.
Buddy, Montreal's 5 points back.
Yeah. It's a disaster. It's a calamity at this point. So, no, my thought on the state of the Leafs is what I've said tonight, which is this win is great. I'm thrilled that Matthews played so well. I'm thrilled for the Leafs fans that were in attendance in Calgary, because I've been to these games out west, and it's a war. It is the best Leaf games you can go to are not here in Toronto, they are in every other Canadian arena. You will have the very best time. It is like, that's when you really do feel the quote unquote passion that unites us. You're not in the concourses here, and so you're just with your friends. You go to the concourses in Ottawa, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and you are having a blast with the other Leaf fans. You're high-fiving in the seats. It's the best time. I'm so glad that they got one. So glad that they got one. But again, you required a hat trick from your best player and a hand pass goal that doesn't count for you to scrape by with a 1-goal win in regulation. I don't know how you can feel overly confident about where this team is at, considering what I saw tonight was amazing from the top line. Not a lot of great stuff from the rest of the roster. Like, who would you say was the third best guy tonight for the Leafs after those two on the top line?
Love that question.
Correct. That's the answer. Correct. It just they don't feel like a team that plays together, bud. Like they don't play with any kind of connectivity. They don't have any grit. They don't have any identity beyond the stars. Like, the
one thing is though, JD, like Matthews does play on the team, and I love making that point. Where it's like, when oftentimes you talk to people about a team, they're like, yeah, they just have a good goalie though, and it's like, okay, he plays for them. He's and that's how I feel about Matthews. Like, he is an absolute force, but he's a guy that they have, and that's one of the reasons they pay him the way they do, and he can win you some. So he wins you some tonight, buys time for the other guys to figure it out. The big concern, and I know this is the point you're making, is just so many guys got to figure it out. TJ Brodie is a absolute problem for them. He can't play on the top pair in the NHL this season.
And who are you going to replace him with? A guy who grabbed the puck and did a spinorama with it in the most crucial moment of the game, Timothy Liljegren?
Every time they cut to Liljegren, he was like, it looked like the edibles just hit or something. Like,
I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's that's always been I think a little bit a part of his game, is that there's a spaciness there.
Yeah, I guess. Like McCabe in that game was everything Jake McCabe is, where he absolutely bodies some guy and then he turns one over, and then he, here we got McCabe on Kadri.
The Kadri hit, yeah, lovely. This is now McCabe's corner, eh? It's like somebody goes in that corner with McCabe every night now, and he's just doing business. I love McCabe for this.
He gets guys slightly off balance. Joe, do we have the McCabe breakout, the good one too, right before his turnover? Like, he is just so hot and cold. He's able to like shake guys, make a little dish, make a play, and then the very next touch, he looks like he's using the wrong end of his stick. So, yeah, I don't know if we have that one or not, but he's just, the point is with McCabe, I don't trust him to be a top pair guy. He looks like he's going to play over 20 minutes a night for them, though, in the playoffs right now, any way you cut it. So you hope you get more of the good. Cross your fingers, man.
I just saw a thing today. I saw a report that if you want to try to pry UC Saros from the Nashville Predators, that it would take more than 2 first-round picks in the 20s, which is what the Leafs hope that their first-round picks are, right? So they're just flat out on UC Saros because that's all they have. If you trade those 2 first-round picks, you don't have them. You would have 3 consecutive seasons without firsts. Like, it's just, that's not a sustainable thing to do in the NHL.
No.
Okay, so it's tough to improve the goaltending in like a meaningful way where you can go get like a game breaker goaltender that's going to change things for your defense. Okay, so the number 1 defenseman. Well, you just played a team tonight that has one in Hanifin, but it's very touch and go in terms of whether he's going to leave. Like, the league is not.
Francis thinks he's going to sign. He was on our show today.
Yeah, that's been the feeling like from the very jump in Calgary, right? That they just didn't want to let another stud go. It's like, who is the number 1 defenseman that people really feel like is going to balance out the rest of the lineup? Like, I like Tanev, and I watched him tonight very closely, thinking, okay, this is going to be big time Tanev watch. He's a nice player. I don't think that
bad night.
Chris Tanev arrives in Toronto and sits at the top pairing, and then all of a sudden, all the dominoes, like all the pieces of the puzzle, they start to.
It helps, right?
Yeah, it helps, but it's just, I want to see more from the guys on the team to earn the sell, right? Or the buy, right? When you asked me the question about, hey, would you get to the point of selling? I don't think they can do that because they have the stars in the prime, and it's kind of inexcusable. Although I do think there's sort of an interesting, like, TJ Brodie, Tyson Barrie comparable to 2020, where you say, hey, we're not going to do this unless we get something really valuable back, but we're listening on this, we're not we're not hanging up phones if you're calling on this player.
You know, the conclusion I sort of came to on our show today is that, like, if the Leafs are where I think they are in the NHL, somewhere between the 7th and 11th best team in the league, do you think that's a fair assessment? 6th and 11th, maybe somewhere in that sort of range?
You can't tell me that right now. Like, if you're going to say what's their ceiling, I would say that they're above they're 6, but based on the play right now, like, I know that a lot of people who watch the show are probably frustrated right now because they won a game and you just want to be celebrating Matthews and be like, yo, tell me how good Matthews is. And he's great. He's amazing.
He's on pace for 71, the most ever, the most in Solane. He shoots it in a lot.
Yeah, he does. Again, he's incredible. I did my Matthews stats. I've done as much Matthews as I can do, but I can't ignore a first period where, like I said, there's a blue line that can't break a puck out, and there's forwards that don't come back and support and aren't tough on the walls. I can't ignore that they play this style where they try to keep the puck so it goes backwards sometimes, but then they don't have the personnel to handle that when it happens, and so it leads to calamity. That they're leaning completely on William Nylander being that $11.5 million player, and
he's going to come back online. He
will
disconnected from the internet for a bit. I don't blame him.
He will.
He's been grinding to get that contract. I'm going in the wilderness for a little. I'll see y'all later.
God, this is so your personality.
Oh God, yes.
You're like, I relate to him. I want that.
Yeah.
I want.
Like, oh, do I need to go prove my contract? Yeah. I have 8 years to do that. I'll show you I earned it later.
Absolutely does, and that's why I don't want to overreact to the play, and that's why I haven't really even brought it up on the show. My only point is that, like, it's not as though he doesn't have a track record of doing that in the other seasons, and that if you were in the camp of, hey, this was a contract year, and then you remove that incentive in the middle of the year, it's just can make you a little nervous. Tavares does. You know, Tavares not scoring goals and getting hemmed in and having more brain farts, I think, than ever is like a cause for concern. It's just, anyway, God, I don't want to be overly negative tonight, but there's just
hold on, I was making a point before we got derailed. I was making a point. The Leafs are what, 6th to 11th, whatever my range.
Yeah, was. I just don't think that they're a top 5 team right now. I don't think that they look like a Stanley Cup contender. And to me, they need to prove that they are taking a meaningful step, and a couple of those pieces that I referenced that are below expectation right now, they need to take a step. If I'm Brad Treliving and saying, you want me to spend a first round pick, then do something to make me do it.
This is where I'm going with that, which is just, if you are, UC Saros, like, what are we talking about UC Saros for? Like, you're not going to spend assets in a year where you think you might be the 10th best team, right, to become the 8th best team. That doesn't make sense. You have a guy named Joe Woll who you don't know what he is, but when you're the 10th best team or whatever, you cross your fingers and say, I hope he's healthy and I hope he's the guy he was before he left. If he isn't, the season's lost, but we haven't given up any assets, and, we'll draft and we'll take a run at it next year. I just think they have to play better for them to do more. Right. Totally. Like it, so you win some games, you go on a run, you make them think maybe we're the 6th best team, not the 10th best team. Maybe we can get into the top 5. Now we're talking. But as things currently sit, it'd be real hard to say Fraser Minton for Chris Tanev, and then next year starts, you've lost in the first round, and you just don't have either of those guys.
Yeah, and you could have signed Tanev likely in free agency because he was willing to come home anyways, and then you go, right, whoops, maybe we rushed that.
Dude lives like 5 minutes from me here in Toronto. He likes
I've asked Show, before I ask you my final question anyways on this game, we've asked Show to put what we think is the funniest comment into the text chat, into the text part, and he has noted that a lot of people in the comments tonight are saying that we're wearing Kyle Dubas glasses, and so it's a tough.
These are my home glasses. Don't judge me.
I will say that I washed my face today and I got a little bit of the soap in my eye and could not return to the contact lenses. So it's like, it's a glasses night. We're doing
I have my like cool on air glasses, and these are my like, look, you want me to do Leafs talk? You're getting my home glasses. This is what you get.
Anyways, yes, we're both just we're Dubasing it up tonight. That's why the critiques are there. We miss our guy. If you watch the show enough with me and you think that that's my take, I don't know what else I could do. Yeah. So when I talk about all the pieces and the ones that really aren't going right now and the things that do need to change coming into this year, buddy, Nyes was such an important piece. It was this guy, this bull. Remember him from the playoffs? Like, what a player he was. What a big loss it felt like when they didn't have him against the Panthers, when he ends up getting hurt in the series.
Yeah.
And Do you think he's hit a rookie wall? Like what are you seeing with his game right now? Because he's a guy who again got stapled to the bench tonight, 10 minutes, and that's becoming routine for him.
Yeah, I do think he's hit a rookie wall. I'm reminded of earlier in the season when he was sick and missed 2 games, I think, and he came back. His first game back after having like two nights off was against Pittsburgh, and he came out like a house on fire. Gordie Howe hat trick, scores the goal, roasting a guy wide. His best game of the season. And you go look through his hockey elite, elite prospects or hockey DB page, whatever your site is, and the guy's career high in games played is 44 games in junior hockey. He played 40 games in college. This is the most hockey he's ever played in like 4 months. The NHL level, playing beside Matthews for most of the year. It's a lot. I think he could use a night off. I don't think that's quitting on him or whatever. I think it's maximizing the chance of getting the most out of him later in the year, because right now he doesn't look confident. He doesn't have the puck anymore. Do you ever see him have the puck? Like he's not involved in the hockey games anymore, and he just needs a sec.
So totally agree with you. And you even think about stuff like, hey, the Sweden trip. If you're an NHL pro and a vet, you can probably handle that a little bit more. You can more easily than a young kid.
Yeah.
And I think our brain goes, because we're all old and broken. Those of us that we go, well, no, the young guy should have all the energy. He should be able to do this. It's like, no, man, he's not built up his body. We think about pitchers, right? In baseball, and you want to build up the innings on the arm before that you really trust them to go out and pitch 200 innings. And in hockey, we never really have it. We just say, hey, rookie wall. But dude, Matthew Knies, when he's at his very best, he feels relentless in the forecheck. That is like the calling card of his game, is that he chases guys around. And when a D-man or when a defenseman is trying to play with the puck back in his own zone or going back for a puck, I love it when Knies is just like on his back,
right,
and forcing him to make a difficult play. And I don't see that anymore. I see a guy that is just looking very lost, not having an impact on the game, and in the D zone is really, 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 really fighting it. Yeah. I think the problem is that if these guys, and this gets to something that I talked about on my show today, which is that I keep hearing the same thing about this team from many different places, which is that internally they are way too concerned with narratives and media, and that it is not just a Mitch Marner issue. It is pervasive throughout the entire building. And I think that instead of doing what is right for the player and Matthew Knies and simply just saying, we're going to sit you for a night, they're worried about the narrative that is going to come off of something like that, where they sit him and all of a sudden it's blaming him for the losses and not the coach and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing what's right by the player. And that's what sucks about when your team is in a rut, is that it does blow things out of proportion.
It sucks here.
And it sucks here. And in reality, they just need to sit the kid down for a night or two, give him a breather, put Nick Robertson in, hope that his legs are going, and then see Matthew Knies in a week and hope that it carries into the All-Star game.
2 things on this. One, when you think of, I wrote yesterday about the Leafs' inability to have ozone possession time. Who on the Leafs can rag the puck in the ozone, have it cut back with a guy on their back, eat minutes? Knies, it's like the, Matthews and whatever, and it's Knies. And he hasn't been able to do that for a while, which is, it really hurt their offense. The other funny thing about sit one out and put Nick Robertson in, and this is not a suggestion, but just a reminder. Remember Ryan Reeves is on this team and healthy? Like
no.
Yeah, he's an available guy that is with the team and has a 3-year contract.
Remember Sam Lafferty used to play here?
Don't do that. I think he has 9 goals for Vancouver or something this year. He's just been great for them.
And
good PK, fast.
He's a dog.
Scored for them in the postseason last year. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a pretty good player. To me, Ryan Reeves, no offense, is no different than Kyle Clifford plays for the Marlies. So there's 2 guys down there. It's like, that's where you belong.
Yeah. Just a reminder that he's there.
I don't want to live that again.
No, I know.
I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back there. Hey, Justin Bourne, anything else for you, or we're going to wrap the sucker up? This was a long one, so I appreciate
all good,
it.
Pal.
Yeah, this was fun. It was great catching up. So I hope everybody enjoys it. We went long tonight, people. So the least you could do is subscribe, leave 5 stars. If you follow on iTunes or you're listening to this thing on Spotify, you got it from a friend. If you're watching on YouTube, hit thumbs up. You can leave a comment if you'd like. You can follow Justin and I on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis and at JT Bourne. Wait, what's your professional Instagram?
It's just at JTBourne_SN.
Oh, okay, that's it. You threw the SN in there. I see.
The SN's for super nice.
No, I was going to say that's a man with extreme confidence that he'll like remain at the company on his terms as long as he wants. Whereas I've never put SN in anything because I'm like,
I'll be honest, it was a big debate, and I've just decided to claim it doesn't stand for Sportsnet.
Yeah. Every day that they're like, you still work here. The key card works. Like every time my key card even like remotely screws up, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is I understand.
Yeah, it was always the right call.
Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, Justin Bourne. Thanks for being here. We will catch you on Saturday with Anthony Petrelli.